if there is one substance which has become central in our society, it would be... No, not that. Or that. Okay, that might be a bit far. I mean caffeine. Caffeinated beverages are a cornerstone of our society. Multi-billion-dollar companies have risen and fallen by their produce. We base our routines on them. It's a cornerstone of how we socialise, aside from, other substances.
To alcohol, the cause of and solution to all of life's problems.
And we have so much of it that it chemically alters our bodies. So what happens in the absence of it? What does that absence do to our bodies? What does caffeine actually do? How much would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? Stay tuned to find out. And so it began, the journey to not have caffeine. And let me tell you, it was an experience, most especially on the first day. The first week in general seems to be a real upward battle, as past me will explain. It is day 2. No, wait, hold on. It is day 2 of doing the no caffeine. I thought that today would be the day where all the real negative effects of, doing a detox of withdrawal would all hit all at once, but actually it turns out that no, they all came on day 1, straight out of the gate. I had a mild headache for most of yesterday, and very tired. Yes, I was very tired throughout. And today, I'm still kind of feeling the tiredness and the fatigue, but I think that's more due to the fact that I'm hitting the 3 o'clock slump than it is that I'm, just tired overall, because earlier I felt fine. Actually, something I really noticed, especially yesterday, was the cravings. Like whenever I was feeling particularly tired and fatigued, and I was just like, oh, I have no energy, nothing. I really want a coffee. Ah, there it is. Right you are, past me! Why headaches happen in general is because of a funny little thing that happens when you're off caffeine. You see, normally when you have caffeine, it causes the blood vessels within your brain to thin. Not to the point of, causing clots or anything, thankfully, otherwise, that would be a time and a half. But it causes less overall blood flow in the brain. But as you have less caffeine, the blood vessels fatten up once more. But in doing that, that causes a sudden inrush, as a sudden tidal wave of blood comes through into the brain, causing a huge amount of pressure to build up, causing headaches. Yeah, that's fun. But what does caffeine actually do to the brain when you're on it? Well, to answer that question, let's consult the old notey book. We'll get there in the end. Aha. So of course, as we know, caffeine is a stimulant, which causes an increase in activity of the brain. Pretty standard stuff, but what does that actually mean? As it activates noradrenaline neurons, as well as increasing the release of dopamine. So what is noradrenaline? Noradrenaline is a neurotransmitter or hormone, which plays a vital role in fight or flight response. It also regulates arousal, attention, cognitive function, and stress reactions. So essentially when you're not on caffeine, that means you have less attention span, overall a bit less cognitive ability, as well as a slight decrease to stress. It seems pretty succinct, especially when you remember what the other side effects are. The most common symptoms of withdrawal are headaches, fatigue, decreased energy or alertness, drowsiness, depression, irritability, and brain fog. And I will be the first to admit I did feel at least all of those at some point over the period of when I was not having caffeine. Most notable of these side effects were instances of brain fog, which was particularly a nuisance when I was trying to get stuff done. Oh, could you pass me the righty thing? The small, the blue.
You mean a pen?
Yes, a pen. Yes. Can you pass me that, please? As well as the fatigue and drowsiness, which I also felt. But it would be felt more so as the day went on, so when I woke up, I felt just fine.
I can do this all day.
But once that 3 o'clock slump hit, But the worst of it was the depression and the irritability, as when it coincided with, just general hurdles and knocks, it became very debilitating very quickly. And the irritability was bad as well, as really, I just did not like the sort of person I was while not on caffeine.
Hey, I really liked your...
No, as I was essentially just a grumpy mess all the time. But as I alluded to before, caffeine has been a big part of society, at least for the previous 2 centuries, so why is that? How did that start? When did we encounter the first caffeinated bean? This is my pedantic way of saying, what is the history of coffee? So what is the history of coffee? Well, there are many different accounts, as to be expected with a drink like coffee. I mean, I can't exactly imagine that people were jotting down such things as the important history of this crazy bean. But there are some legends that surround it. Always our favourites. This one comes from Ethiopia. The legend says that a goat herder named Cowdy first discovered the potential of these beloved beans. After certain berries were eaten by his goats, they became more energetic to the point of not being able to sleep at night. He reported his findings to the abbot of his local monastery, who made a drink with the berries, and he found that it kept him alert throughout long hours of evening prayer. And so the abbot shared his discovery with other monks at local monasteries, and knowledge of the energizing berries began to spread. And so the beans spread from there, becoming coffee as we know it today. By the 15th century, coffee was being grown in the Yemenic district of Arabia, and by the 16th century it was known in Persia, Assyria, Egypt and Turkey. Coming to Europe in the 15th century, it at first attracted unwanted attention, with people reacting with suspicion or fear, calling it the bitter invention of Satan. But until Pope Clement VIII intervened, he tasted the beverage for himself and made a decision. He found it satisfying and gave it papal approval. Coffee houses quickly became centres of social activity and communication in England, Austria, France, Germany and Holland. Penny universities sprang up in England most particularly. As for the price of a penny, you could purchase a cup of coffee and engage in stimulating conversation. Coffee began to replace the common breakfast drink of beer or wine. I can imagine why. Quality of work was improved, and by the mid-17th century there were over 300 coffee houses in London, before it eventually made its way to New Amsterdam in the New World, which later became New York. But don't think I'm just saying this to be a negative Nancy. There were some positives to being off of caffeine, one which I alluded to was better sleep. As I said, as the day wore on, I would get more and more tired, making it very easy just to switch off as soon as I went to sleep. Also leading, funnily enough, to an easier time waking up, therefore in the morning. Which is just nice and convenient overall. I mean, how nice of the caffeine withdrawal to be nice to me in the morning. And it did force me to be more hydrated as I drank more water. But then again, it's kind of boring just drinking water all the time. And that's really the ultimate thing about this. This whole time of when I was doing this challenge, I was a boring, grumpy, irritated, tired person, which frankly is not someone I like. So you can bet I was very happy when the timer ran out and I could go back onto caffeine. I'm bored.
Careful, whose fruit you take.